Hello, guys, and welcome to episode number 6 of Holy Cow. I'm Chase Almy, Greg Dominic to my left, and then down below is Lacey Stout. She is the newest addition to Holy Cow. How are you, Lacey?
Doing good. Ready to get started.
So you are the newest member of the show. Maybe we can do like a fan rating and see if you can't move up to the top spot in the order of the show.
Who's the top spot right now?
Right. Well, right now I sit on top of the poll because I'm the one that has to direct everything.
Yeah, we'll see.
I am more than happy with that. That doesn't bother me at all.
I let Greg record one show, and all we got was like this much of Greg. He didn't have the camera set right.
Well, I mean, my technology skills aren't that great, but
yes, I was on the phone earlier with her, and she's asking how her lighting was. I was like, "We're on the phone," but then I remembered we were actually on FaceTime. So Lacey is actually going to be the host of a new show called Cold Beers and Curveballs. Why don't you fill us in on what Cold Beers and Curveballs is and what you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so Cold Beers and Curveballs is going to be something that I hope to have interviews with some of the players, and not just strictly Cubs players, but who they're going to play against, maybe do like some rivalry games, maybe some pranks on players. But I also want to have real stats in there. And looking towards the future for some of these players, I would like to incorporate college into the MLB. So I kind of want to take a whole approach kind of look here. And I'm a lover of all sports, so advance it further if we can. But I'm really excited to get started. I'm really excited to drink some beer while doing it.
Hey, right. We're working on doing some stuff with that, like maybe some drinking games where we hang out and do some commentary and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the handle is at Cold Beers and Curveballs. It works for pretty much every social media. But if you really want to watch, it should be a lot of fun. I signed Lacey up for a pub run. She had no clue what that meant when I signed her up for it. But now she knows that means she's walking we have like 8 hours to do it, though.
I'm not walking for 8 hours.
Fine, I'll carry you for like.
I need a backpack, like one of those beer. Like I need the goggles. I could just stick the beer goggles, and a wagon because I'll probably be drunk by the time the 8 hours is done.
You get 5 free beers. You get 5 free beers.
Okay, listen. At beer 3, I'm having a good time.
I'm good with that. We have to walk from Fleet Feet to Elgin Park Brewery. It's in downtown Tulsa. You actually still have time to sign up if you're in the Tulsa area. You want to hang out with us. We'll be roaming around. Maybe even have some special goodies for us. Maybe Greg can join us via Skype or FaceTime.
When is this?
This Saturday.
Saturday.
Yes.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. I figure we'll probably do it about 11. I think the worst part is going to be figuring out how we're going to do the getting from the end, because I'm parking my car at the end because I will die at 4 miles. But getting there.
It's a good idea. Parking at the end.
We might have to maybe stop bossing the husband around for
No, that doesn't stop.
Okay, because I was going to say, maybe if you could hold off on all of these honeydews, maybe the honeydew could be getting us to the top.
Listen, he did that for me because I'm amazing on his own.
I guess. You know what? I will say, though, I heard you weren't an amazing cook.
Oh, okay. Yep. So,
Greg, I don't know if you know this about her or not. This is good stuff.
I was on season 12 of Worst Cooks in America on Food Network.
Watch that.
I like to joke there's a reason why my husband and kids are tall and skinny. It's because they're starving. So, I mean, box dinners, pizza.
Fortunately, now there's takeout and
a lot of takeout.
COVID restrictions notwithstanding. I mean, DoorDash.
It doesn't stop me. If I want food, I'm going to find a way to get it.
She's never once invited me over for a home cooked meal.
I can cook. It's just a lot of times it's just easier and cheaper to go out. And
I'm good with desserts. Like I have a bad sweet
tooth.
tooth.
Whose team were you on?
What? I can't give it away. You just got to tune in and watch. It's on Hulu, Amazon Prime, I believe.
What season are we on now?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh man. So yes, we actually do have a celebrity that will join us every day.
Celebrity. I like to say average Joe.
There you go. Well, either way, it's amazing, and we're so happy that you're here. So let's go ahead and get into actually the meat and potatoes of the show, and we'll go ahead and start that off with a little house cleaning that happened at Wrigley Field a few days ago, and it is the sweep. We had the sweep.
Yes, it's been 6 years since the Cubs beat a reigning World Series champion in a sweep, and that was against the Giants in 2015. And this August would have marked 2 years since the Cubs beat the Dodgers in a series.
Wow. I mean,
that doesn't surprise me.
No. I mean, we don't do well against teams that are doing well. It kind of seems to be the thing. I mean, not to discount what's happened, but the Dodgers are in their worst slump since 2017 when the whole NL West kind of fell apart on them and they went on that horrible losing streak. It's the worst that they've seen. But the Dodgers played a doubleheader at Wrigley Field. It was actually supposed to be a Tuesday, Wednesday. They moved it to 2 games on Wednesday, I believe it was. And they put the shortest outing ever for Kershaw at 1 inning. I believe they had 4 runs there in the first inning. It was just a nightmare for Kershaw. That was the one pitcher that we were really, really worried about. I thought the Bauer-Arrieta thing would have been kind of cool to watch. And it turned out to be a decent game. 7-1 there in that first one. Then they go on to play the second game with Bauer as a starting pitcher for the Dodgers. He actually goes 4 1/3, giving up 4 hits and a run while walking 4. The Cubs won it in extra innings. They had to go 2 extra. I know Greg gets pissed off when we talk about the 7-inning double headers, but that's what happened. It took them a full game to win it, and that kind of set up that game 3. So Greg, last week, if you haven't watched the show, go back and watch it again. Greg says, I will be happy with one win against the Dodgers. So
Called it.
Yes,
Called it.
Greg's happy by 5 o'clock on Tuesday or on Wednesday, rather.
It doesn't take much to make me happy anymore.
Right. And then he's elated on, by 10 o'clock on Wednesday, and then comes Thursday. It does take 11 innings there to get that 6-5 win. Buehler was the only starter out for the Dodgers that was able to go more than 5 innings. The walk-off in the 11th, that was kind of a weird game. I believe that was the game where Rizzo had the line drive shot with the bounce, and instead of tagging and making the force out happen, he throws to Baez. Baez thought he stepped on the bag.
Yeah.
He slapped the tag down, and then that was it. The runner scored. So
I won't repeat what I was saying as I was watching. Like, how the can you not touch the bag?
It should be
one
of the first things you learn. It's technique.
Instinctual.
I mean, in T-ball, they teach you what a base is. I mean, you can't be in a professional sport and not do the small things. It just doesn't work.
Right. But I understand where Rizzo was going on it. I understand the concept. The problem was the base runners that they were on were actually decent base runners. It wasn't like it was Bartolo Colon batting in that 9th spot, jogging over to second base. They both had some wheels on them. So I get the idea of making sure that you get that first out. Baez not knowing what happened, because how close he was to the base, it would have just been an easy, just kind of slide over, throw on a second.
Imagine you've got it.
Right. So I was happy that Rizzo was able to come back into that bottom half of that inning and completely save the day by winning the game in the bottom of the 11th with that walk-off. And he wasn't even supposed to play that day. That was supposed to be his day off. But
it's a redemption. It's a lucky redemption.
Yes. So he was able to redeem himself there. He still has the best ERA in MLB history as a pitcher. So this is a good year for Rizzo. I love Rizzo. You like Rizzo. I think Lacey and I were talking about Rizzo.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
That's who she's talking about.
Yeah. I would love to throw a baseball with him. So the Cubs ended up sweeping the Dodgers this series with a 15-16 record. On to the Pirates.
On to the Pirates. The Pirates come back into town. Pirates have been that weird. We seem to talk about the Pirates a lot. They kind of seem to be the bottom of the barrel, the bottom feeders of the NL Central. But as Greg talked about early on when we were looking into the season and what we were looking forward to, he says those guys can hit. They can hit. They didn't look too shabby in Florida. He was there towards the end of the spring training, so he was able to see a lot of the guys that were going to be there on the big league club. Wasn't a lot of trying to fill in those extra spots, those utility players, things like that. So he was able to watch it. The first two games were just the whole series was nail biters. Really, honestly, when it comes down to it, you got to see good baseball if you consider what happened.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh kept it close. Pittsburgh, we had a 3-0 lead going into the bottom of in the top of the ninth, and they scored 2 runs, and they had runners left on base at the end of the game.
I believe they had one on second base at the time. Not certain, but I mean, we were a base hit away from being tied, I'm sure.
Yes, it was not a good outing by that, the closing spots there for the bullpen, which has been questionable throughout the year. But they were able to hold on to make it 4 in a row. So they were able to get to that 500. They're right around that 500. The second game was not much better. It was a 3-2 win. They were able to shut it down. They had 2 runs, I believe, in the 6th inning. That was as far as it ever got close. Those were some good outings. But then here comes the professor, who I guess is now the professor of a community college, not Dartmouth like we used to say, where he was the Ivy League guy. And he's totally just messed things up. I mean, he hasn't had strong outings for the whole season. We were talking earlier on the pregame, 6.23 ERA this season, compared to his 3.22 ERA that he has career. Anybody want to jump in on that?
Like I said, that first inning yesterday was probably the most frustrated he's ever had to be, because obviously he's pitched better, but he wasn't pitching that poorly. And like I said, several of those hits that were like seeing eye dogs. I mean, they just, they got the one because of the shift, which that's another story for another day. I hate that shift. Play the game. Play it the right way. Maybe sometimes when you get burned enough playing that damn shift, you'll go back to playing the game the way it used to be played, because I don't see that much advantage to doing that. But
the Atlantic Coast League, the test rat or the lab rat league of the MLB, they are actually going to require 4 infielders on the dirt. So that whole rover slow pitch softball player out in right field will no longer exist if they see some return on that. But yeah, no, it was just, they were able to pepper the ball throughout the ballpark, and it wasn't really they were just making contact. It was hard contact, and that was how they were able to play. They played a little bit of small ball almost.
And I still stand by my prediction that when the season's over, Pittsburgh may end up still in 5th place. But I think they're going to be an improved Pittsburgh team from years past. And again, another story for another day. It bugs me that we've already played Pittsburgh 9 times, and we haven't even seen the Cardinals yet.
Hey, that's good though, because the Cardinals are 21-14 right now.
But I just hate to play someone that many times this early in the season.
Right.
But, I mean, I know it can't be easy to come up with a schedule that works for all 30 teams, but I would think that they could figure out a way that you're not playing 3 series against one team in your division literally 4 weeks into the season. That makes no sense to me. But
I agree with you there. I agree with you, Greg.
You know, the Reds haven't even come to town yet. The Cardinals haven't come to town yet. I mean, that's 2 of the 4, and you've already had Pittsburgh there twice.
I mean, really, Milwaukee and the Pirates we've seen a lot early on in the season. Milwaukee's still right there.
I'm okay with getting rid of Milwaukee as quickly as possible.
Right. 19 and 16 is where they're sitting at, and we're coming in right there at 17 and 17. But the thing that has really, you know, I like to look at the positives. I like to look at try to be optimistic about things, even though I know that it sometimes can come back and bite me in the rear. My concern with these past 2 series was that 4 out of the wins came down to either extra innings or 1-run games.
Yeah, I think and I've seen this graphic more than once. Aren't we either in first or tied for first with the A's and somebody else with a win-loss record in 1-run games? I know I saw that either when the Cubs were playing, maybe I saw when I watched the Braves last night.
Yeah, I saw one of those deals where we've got a lot of those games.
Yeah, so far.
Right. The positive thing is that they can come in clutch, it seems like. It just seems like if pitching is on, I know I saw that face, Lacey, so we'll talk about why you're worried about that one. But it seems like when the pitching is there, and that's the thing that we've heard a lot of fans who are just watching based on the numbers. Oh, we got to fire the hitting coach. We've got to get rid. Why isn't Rizzo hitting? No, it's why isn't pitchers pitching? But your ace throws 79 miles an hour, basically. I mean, he throws batting practice. He's missing his spots. He's giving up runs. And I think that was the deal. I think that might be the thing that showed me the most over the past 2 series is Hendricks isn't the Hendricks that we used to have. And Hendricks is supposed to be the ace.
No, and Hendricks, in this Pirate series, Hendricks allowed 6 runs, 9 hits in just 5 innings. So that's something we talked about previously and in our pre-show. And I mean, when you have Hendricks, who's supposed to be, you know, your ace in the hole,
yes,
and then he's allowing that in 5 innings, that's why you put someone like Rizzo in to throw a pitch out against a friendly rivalry. But what's going on? Do we need to have the whole team pitch now? Like, where are we going to start?
Right. And I think Hendricks we'll see him pitch again this weekend in Detroit, which, you know, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but, you know, the Tigers have got the worst record in the major leagues, and maybe he'll be able to get back on track.
Guys, here's the stats. Since 2014, when he came into the league, his highest ERA has been a 3.46, and that was in 2019. The 2016 World Series season, he had a 2.13. I'm sorry, it was actually a 3.95 back in 2015. So he's almost 3 points higher than what he's ever been in a season. At 6.23 ERA. It's not working. They've got to figure something out fast. I know Jake Arrieta really has surprised a lot of people with his outings this season. They didn't really expect him to be that Jake Arrieta, the one that we talk about with the obvious shirts. You know, Jake Arrieta is still good at baseball.
How long is he on the DL? Isn't it a short? It's the short DL, I'm thinking.
It's the 10-day. Yeah, they have him on the 10-day IR, IL, or whatever we call it.
He went on that Wednesday last week.
Yes.
So we could possibly see him this weekend in Detroit.
Yes. Right now they've got Azalea, They've got Davies. And they don't have anybody after that. They don't have anybody after the Wednesday game, so that looks like they could be leaving that open for a return from Arrieta, which will be good because Arrieta's been there and has really helped out in a lot of the situations.
Right.
So the Cubs were almost able on that last game. They came in that 9th inning and scored some runs. They ended up one short. I thought Baez was going to have another repeat of 19 when he hit the walk-off on Mother's Day, and everybody lost their mind. But he did not. Baez having some problems with that back stiffness. Things just haven't really loosened up the way they thought it was.
Back stiffness.
Back stiffness.
I
Lacey
swear,
didn't have
it's
to.
minor
Lacey
things.
didn't have to.
It's the minor things.
Yes,
Like,
we talked about that. Brandon Morrow, who hurt himself putting pants on, he's back on the IL with the Dodgers. He's in Oklahoma City. He was notorious for 2018 for putting his pants on, strained his back. Greg went down for how many weeks was it? 3? With the sneeze.
Oh, it was at least 2 weeks.
Greg's out with a sneeze.
I was younger then and probably in better physical condition then, but I'm telling you what, I can't imagine anything that hurts more than back pain. And the worst thing is that a lot of times people just don't understand it. I mean, when you can't even sit down or you can't even bend over to tie your shoes, put socks on, you think twice about changing clothes because it's just, I hope to never relive that again because I'll tell you, that was a tough 2 weeks. But again, belated thank you to my chiropractor because he literally saved my life. I mean, I thought I can't live on a leave and beer the rest of my life.
That's not true. People have been doing that since the 50s.
I know, but I still had a reputable job then. And, I couldn't very well teach fourth graders popping pills and drinking beer. Unless I went to my Jeep at lunchtime or on my prep.
Oh, man.
I could do that. And I just knew I wasn't smart enough to pull that off. So
Mr. D out there popping pills in the Jeep.
Right. That six-pack in your front seat, Mr. Womack. Oh, it's for medicinal purposes only.
Oh, it's like Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz, and she
absolutely
gets with the pot.
We could have made a movie that year.
Yeah. So, in other injury news for the Cubs, it looks like Marisnick left the game with a right hamstring strain Sunday. He just kind of fell over in the outfield, and nobody really knew what happened. It looked like he tripped, but that wasn't the case.
I thought maybe it was a sprinkler head or something that he ran into, but that one bothers me because I love watching him play.
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't get a lot of press, but I feel good about the future with him if we're smart enough to hang on to him.
Right.
He's going to continue to improve, and he's going to soften the blow maybe of losing some of our icons, our stars that, we won't hopefully be rebuilding from the basement.
Yes.
Maybe we'll just be ground level.
I think he'll be a great replacement for Hayward. I think once Rossi finally says, look, Hayward, I'm sorry. I know we're buds. I know we're bros from the World Series, but I got to bench you. Marisnick's in full time. I also like Nico Horner. I thought he was great.
Yes.
Nico played really great.
Didn't he get taken out or was hurt or injured or something? I like Jason Hayward, but once again, when you can't even hit your weight,
no.
At what point do you just say, look, and the sad thing is they're not going to deal him this summer because nobody's going to want him.
Yeah, you can't deal him. He doesn't have very much worth. And that's the
no.
Because a lot of these guys are rentals, and rental payments have really gone down. That's the weird thing, though, is right now the Cubs are playing the 500 ball like we were talking about. They got them third place in the NL Central. They're right smack dab in the middle. Team pitching ERA is 4.62 in the last 10 games or so. Teams are batting 274 against them, which is actually higher than what they were a couple of weeks ago. But pitching has been able to come in and shut down those run attempts for the most part. There was a couple of games where it got away from them, like on Mother's Day. They're in the 9th inning of the first game of the Pirates. 2 runs were able to score. But the Cubs team batting average is at a 224. So they're actually batting 50 points lower than what their opponents are hitting against them. But they're able to actually generate some runs by those hits that they are actually getting, and the left on base has dropped down significantly. I know we were talking there for a while. 6.9 runners left on base in a game was the average for the Cubs, which was actually not as high as it has been in previous seasons, but it still is pretty high. So I think the question is really, are we going to stay at that point? Is this the turning point? And I think it's a good time right now to talk about turning points because we want to win. We all want to win. And who you win with all the time? That's Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy sports gaming website for the casual sports fan that is simple, fun, and easy to play. Users determine which superstars competing in the day's professional sporting events will record more or less than the contest line provided. Monkey Knife Fight daily fantasy prop games play similar to the salary cap-based DFS games, but without the algorithms, lineups, and most importantly, sharks. There are several contests to choose from, none of which require hours of research required on the competing sites. Start with a simple 2-2 or go for the highest payouts of 100 times and higher by selecting an 8 and 8 more or less contest. Get started now with a 100% match bonus up to $50 using our promo code HOLYCOW. And I know that the graphic shows there's a space between holy and cow, but don't do that because it won't work. I love Home Run Derby. That's my favorite. If you haven't played yet, Lacey, get on Monkey Knife Fight. It's a lot of fun. You play the stat lines. And then they have one called Home Run Derby where you pick 3 players out and you say, hey, I think Rizzo's going to hit 2 home runs. Brian's going to hit 1. And I'm going to pick Jason Hayward and go with the safe bet and say he will hit 0 home runs. And you win your share of the pot, which is right now at $5,000.
Oh, okay. Listen, I'm really competitive. That's about to be my thing.
Yes, we have created the degenerate. I feel better about myself knowing that I'm not going out and hitting a leave in a 6-pack in a Jeep with.
What a baller. What a baller.
Yeah. That's how I do it.
Desperate,
I know the kids
do desperate things.
Right. All right. So I guess the next question would be, will the minor leagues affect what the Cubs do at the deadline?
You know, I think that's a great question, Lacey.
Absolutely.
So that is one of the things that I think we have to worry about as far as for the Cubs. There's really, you know, right now, Kris Bryant's having this MVP season. They're yelling MVP, they're chanting MVP every time he gets up. He's basically playing. I mean, his WAR is crazy right now. Kris Bryant. Let me pull up his stats and see where we're at with it. Kris Bryant for the season right now. I mean, it's crazy. He's got a batting average of 308. His on-base percentage is 397. Slugging is 650. OPS 1.047. OPS plus is 191. Let me see what his WAR is right now. WAR is 2. He's got a 2.0 WAR. He's in his final year of the contract. So anything that would happen with him would be a rental, which back in the day, rentals, you could make some money on some rentals.
He's fun to look at, and he's fun to watch play. I approve.
You approve for him to go away?
Well, no, I want to keep him here. I approve of him being with us.
Yes. And I'll tell you, yeah, if you look at historically things, the team that I remember really using that rental deal was the Rangers with Cliff Lee. I mean, what the Rangers gave up to get Cliff Lee to really make those 2 pushes with the World Series, that was kind of unheard of. And now we've got this rental thing now where we're really the market has gone down because the market's gone down with everything. People aren't getting signed until after the draft because they don't want to have to, they don't have to want to pay the salaries and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I think that if the Cubs, and that's the hard thing right now, is because where the Cubs are right now, they could maybe make a push for that wild card spot if they can continue to do this. I don't know the longevity of how long this is actually going to work. Where we're at, I know we're getting excited over winning 5 of the last 6 games, which the way the season started out, yeah, I'm on fire about it. But realistically, are they going to stay a 500 team? And at that trade deadline, I think if we begin to decline again and Bryant stays where he's at, he's going to be gone by the deadline or sooner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then you really have to start to look at what are you going to get back from that type of sell? Are you going to get something? And that's where Jed Hoyer really has to hone in on some things, is what is he going to get back in return? I mean, because where are we at right now? Either of you guys know with the prospects? I mean,
Cubs lack a true top 50 prospect.
Yeah, I haven't seen one in there. I know they're definitely not in the, and right now it could tell. What's weird about this season, though, is that there was no minor leagues last year. So it's really hard to judge what we have in the minor league system for any team until we get about 20 games into this minor league season. So I think it would be really cool to see kind of what they're going to get, because if that's the case, if they really don't have a true top 50 prospect that doesn't just start showing up somewhere in Iowa or something like that, they've only got that. They're looking at 2 years minimum before we even see a return onto the field. And I don't think Jed Hoyer's got that in him to last. I think the leash will be very, very short with this man. It's a nice bow you got there, Greg.
Like I said, someone always has to be a part of the broadcast.
There you go. That is our daily cat update. So I don't know. Greg, what would you say he should be looking for in return for Bryant? I mean, you're probably going to get prospects.
Right.
Like his salary and his work is $19.5 million, right?
I'd be looking at some bullpen reinforcements. I may be in the minority. I am not a Chafin fan at all. I mean, he comes in from the bullpen, and I just want to start throwing things because I'm thinking you're gonna screw it up, and we're gonna lose because you can't find the strike zone.
Chafin is your Pedro Strop this year.
Oh. He drives me nuts.
It is. It's a what is it? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation.
Mm-hmm. A fat, out of shape beer league pitcher is what he reminds me of.
You know what? He gives us hope, Greg, that we can still make it.
My God, I think I could throw as many strikes as he could. I mean, I probably could cover first base about as slow as he does too.
Yeah, but in all honesty, fat pitchers make it longer. They last longer.
Absolutely. Look at
his stats, his size.
Rick Ruschel and Paul Ruschel that played for the Cubs in the 70s, how they had the careers they did.
Jabba Chamberlain and Bartolo Colon. Who were you saying there?
Paul and Rick Ruschel. They played for the Cubs in the mid to late 70s. Jack Brickhouse used to just go nuts every time they were pitching, and they weren't that good. I mean, they just weren't that good. But
hey,
I guess you pissed her off, Greg. She left us.
I just got sick of you talking. That's what it was.
So who were you saying there, Lacey? I heard you say somebody about.
I don't know.
You don't know?
It's gone. It's gone.
That's what's fun about this show, guys. It just continues to get better and better. But I think that's something that a lot of fans haven't really thought about is, what are we going to get back? I know the fear is they're blowing
the fire sale and getting nothing in return.
Right.
Because, those that have followed the Cubs for many years remember all those second division basement finishes. We'd develop a few stars. We'd get rid of them. I remember back in the late 70s, we had Bill Matlock, third base for the Cubs. We couldn't keep him because he was too expensive. We send him to San Francisco. He becomes a star. And who we got in return, I don't know. But obviously the memory didn't stick with me. So to me, it wasn't an even trade. But,
right. He's got $19.5 million left this season. I think if they could have done this deal last year, I think we would be looking at having a lot more of a prospect deal. But the team that signs knows that they've only got him through the end of the season. He's going to go into free agency. He's going to make a lot of money, whether it's with the Cubs or who it's with. We can't expect the Cubs to spend as much money to keep the same guys around. So we know pieces are going to go away. Is that Bryant? Are we going to keep Rizzo around, or is it Baez? Where are we, who do we keep? Who do we not?
The question I always ask in situations like this is he going to be as good somewhere else? And is that the case if we get in the return of getting someone or any other prospects, are they going to be as good with us as
right?
they were?
And I think there's teams that really do worry about that.
I'm one of those people. I worry about that constantly.
Right.
I've heard him linked to the Yankees as possible trade. I don't see him being nearly as happy in Yankee Stadium as he is. It's just a different culture of home.
I think that he could end up with the Phillies. I think he could end up back with Harper. They played ball together out in Las Vegas. I think that's I think that's a good shot too. It just depends on where Philadelphia ends up here in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
But if you look in sports across the board, I mean, in the NBA, even players tend to follow familiar players.
Yes,
absolutely.
You had Harden and Westbrook with the Rockets. I mean, it goes on and on. In every sport, it's like that.
Well, and I think baseball is one of those weird sports. If you look at the Rangers held on to Mitch Moreland for so long. Mitch Moreland he came through in a couple of spots. He was a very good defensive first baseman, but they had lost Mark Teixeira and Chris Davis, which Chris Davis now is a joke of what he was, but he was there for a while. People thought this might be the guy that pushes the Barry Bonds record because he was hitting, he had like 57, 58 home runs with almost a month left in the season. And it was night and day for him. He struggled in Texas. He goes to Baltimore and just blows up. Mark Teixeira was an okay player, was above average player for the Rangers, goes on to the Yankees, becomes a star phenom that he was at the end. Hall of Fame caliber career. I think there are teams that worry about that, like you were talking about, Lacey, is will he be better somewhere else? Will he not be as good with what are we looking at here? I think, unloading Hayward and unloading Rizzo could be smart. I don't think Rizzo would really want to go anywhere. I think Rizzo would take a hometown deal.
I could even see him going away maybe and coming back next season.
I could see that.
Kind of a rental. Cliff Lee did that with the Phillies.
I think it's also going to be contingent on what other clubs have players. Because I just read a story again this weekend that Max Scherzer, of all people, they think will be dealt this. I saw it on MLB.com. They think that there's a real good chance he's going to be dealt sometime this summer. And I thought, wow, once he left the Tigers and signed that deal with the Nationals, I thought he's not going to be going anywhere else. He'll finish his career there.
I mean, you want to talk about a fall from grace. That 2010 to 2015 Tigers to where they are now. I mean, that lineup was stacked. The pitching was stacked.
It's the pitching alone, with him and Verlander and So I mean, of course,
Wade Miley, who just threw a no-hitter. I mean, those guys.
I know it wouldn't happen, but I'd love to see Bryant stay. But geez, if we could maybe trade him to the Nationals and they send us Scherzer, I'd be okay with that maybe for the rest of this season.
Yeah,
but
I think
make a lot of sense, but it won't happen.
Right, and I think what we really are going to have to look at on the end of what will happen, who will get for in return. We probably won't see any player that makes an impact on the field this year with the Cubs. I think what we'll see is players that maybe can make an impact the next season or the next 2 seasons through that farm system. Get something that's a very high prospect. I would say be shooting for something, top 20 and up. Really to try to make that worth and sweeten the pot and get that player, because Brian is the caliber of player right now that could take that team that could, be a wild card team to being a divisional winner. But
here's an interesting question as well, though. Let's say we get to the trade deadline and we're in first place, or we're knocking at the door. Do we become buyers, or are we still going to have the attitude we're going to be sellers and tank any chance we have at the end of the season for postseason play?
I think we would still be sellers. I honestly do.
I agree, and that bugs me. Mm-hmm. I think if you really want to piss off, and if you have to bleep that out, bleep it out, but if you really want to piss off your fan base, get us to that point and we still have a shot, maybe a last shot for good with this core group of players, but we still have a shot to do something and we dismantle it. It's going to be brutal.
I think if you might piss off some fair weather fans. I think if you look at it realistically, though, if you can get something in return.
Yeah, well, that's the key. You better.
There's not enough trades that
you're just giving them away.
Right.
Because
then his value is going to be higher if we're in that kind of standing.
Absolutely.
Right.
So then we might not be able to get just one, but multiple for his price that are outstanding players. So in that aspect, completely sell.
Well, and the thing is, too, is the depth that we don't have in the minor league system with the Cubs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You don't have anything that you're going to get back in return, because you're going to need 2 or 3 relief pitchers and a starting pitcher to come in. You're going to have to try to pick up 4 players. You're probably going to have to try to make some moves that maybe could get you a utility infielder or an outfielder type player to replace the declining production from Hayward. Unless something just happens. So you're going to need – it's not one of those, hey, we're 1 or 2 pieces away. We're about 6 pieces away from feeling comfortable, for me to feel comfortable with the Cubs to say, okay, we can really make that push. Unless something just happens where it all comes back together and it meshes and people get on fire and they stay on fire. I know, last season with the shortened season, the Cubs were really, really good up there until the end. Hopefully this is maybe the backwards. We're just kind of 500, 500, 500, and then when it really comes time to turn it on. But I don't see us ever being buyers at this season and at where we're at. No. I think really, I
think the decisions have already been made. I think they've already identified and have gotten their list of who they, from top to bottom, who they're going to keep, who they're going to try and trade, and even who they want in return. We all know there's conversations going on between the various clubs, even right now. I mean, it's still the middle of May, and there's still lots and lots of baseball to be played, but there are conversations going on right now. And, when things happen,
I can't with that cat. I can't do it.
He's got his own personality, I'll tell you that. But He's not laying on his back on the floor thinking I'm going to scratch his. He loves to have his belly scratched.
And I think it's a good point now with the cat. Greg, who's going to rub the cat's belly for the next 5 days?
That's a good point.
Not me.
He's not going to be real happy with me because I'm going to be taking a trip. But fortunately, I have some good friends that come over, and they take care of him and love on him. And I mean, they bring treats and stuff. I think they're more excited about their extended family than they are about me being here. But I'll pull out my travel bag tonight or tomorrow morning. He knows when I'm going somewhere because then he gets real clingy, starts purring, and
hey, that's what I do when my husband leaves.
this guy
Greg was able to go see a chiropractor, save some money on a leave and beer, and Greg is joining the team as travel. Greg's going to be a travel secretary for the Cubs this week. He is actually going on the road, Cleveland and Detroit. Should be a lot of fun. We're going to try to maybe get a nice little live session in with Greg while he's at the ballpark, maybe walking to the ballpark or whatever it is that he's doing. But he is going to be at both of the Cleveland games and all 3 of the Tigers games, correct?
Correct.
So
here's hoping I don't freeze my ass off. But
it's looking – so I think it's funny. On Mother's Day, one of my friends that lives up in the Cleveland area posted that it was snowing on the turnpike and that there was ice.
Yeah.
So it's a weird May.
Northern Indiana in the Angola area, they had someone sent me a picture of snow-covered cars. And I'm thinking, when does
Cinco de Mayo, that stuff's supposed to be gone.
Yeah, it's supposed to be gone a long time ago.
Actually, they're predicting a cooler than normal summer here too for July.
Really?
Hey, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll be okay with no humidity. I mean, Indiana summers are horrible when it comes to humidity and heat.
Oh, Greg, you know nothing about the Oklahoma summers.
Probably as bad as Florida. I know. I went.
Your sweats.
No,
and I'm a big guy, so my back looks like the Kool-Aid Man. If I wear a light-colored shirt,
my gosh,
my back sweats like the Kool-Aid Man. Sweats that exact pattern.
Oh man!
Walking backwards to your house, Lacey, going, "Oh yeah." So, Greg, we were talking. It's a weird series. They are playing the number 2 in the AL Central. They're only a game and a half back from the Chicago White Sox, or as you call them, Chicago White Trash. And they
use that term too often. I have a friend that got banned from Facebook for a month because she used the WT term, and I'm thinking, you know what though? It's so descriptive, and it really fits whoever you're using it against.
Right. You know, the thing is, though, funny about the Chicago White Trash, how I know that you call that is there was a lock-in one year at Landis Elementary, and we made the trashiest tent, and that's what you gave away for the prizes was Chicago White Sox pencils.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. That is one of the things I remember getting.
Subliminal message there.
Yes. That's when I knew Greg was a purist. So they're playing the number 2 team in the AL Central, and then they're also playing the last place team in all of Major League Baseball, the Detroit Tigers. So with you going on the road, what are you going to consider a successful road trip playing these teams?
Of course, I want to win them all, and that's usually never possible. I would be very happy with a split in Cleveland. And I just can't help but think that there's no reason why we cannot and should not sweep the Tigers. But, you know, sometimes the most obvious or the most easiest things to do are the things that don't happen. But Detroit is a dumpster fire right now. I mean, they're
you can't say that because their coach loves trash cans. AJ Hinch loves them trash cans.
But, you know, again, playing on the road, you know, I don't consider being at home for a baseball game as much of an advantage as football or basketball. But, you know, again, you're sleeping in your own bed. Everything is familiar. But I'm hoping, you know, the next 2 days, we still have a lot of people from that World Series championship on our team. they're going back to the site of where they want it, and maybe that will motivate them to continue to play well. I don't think Cleveland has that many still left from that team, but it's supposed to be 52 degrees there tomorrow. So tomorrow night might be a little frosty, but 57 on Wednesday. So
that's not a bad day. They've
not
all
a bad day at all.
no.
And
So
no rain, so that's even better.
well, and it's weird. It's a little 5-game road trip. It's Cleveland, Detroit. They're kind of doing that AL Central round. And then they're coming back home to see the Nationals, which will bring Kyle Schwarber back to Wrigley Field.
Right.
And then they finally make it to St. Louis for that first Cardinals series, which I'm making a bold prediction that we will see Albert Pujols again. I think that he should not go out this way. I know who he is. I know what he's done. I know his crimes against humanity as a Cubs fan. Should be tried as war crimes, basically. But he is going to go down as the greatest right-handed hitter to ever play the game.
True. But I'm also thinking, I don't know, but when he left for the Angels, didn't he anger a lot of people in St. Louis because he made that move?
He did, but he came back last. Well, he came back in 2019, I believe it was, and he got a standing ovation every time he went to bat. Like I think he had like a 3-minute deal on his first at bat, and they gave him standing O's. They want him back. A lot of people, I know Nolan Arenado says that he would really like to play with him, that he is probably his hero as far as looking up for people in the baseball world. I think it would be very interesting. So, Greg, you're saying if they can split the Cleveland series and win the Detroit series, that is a win.
I think 4-1 would be excellent. 5-0 would be wonderful. But I'd say at least 4-1. 3-2, just against the caliber. And again,
it keeps them above 500 if they do that, though.
Yeah.
Lacey, what about you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it's such an up and down season, Greg. Like the games that
I honestly think they're more 3. It's going to be more 3-2, closer.
3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Because Greg, think about it. You said they were only going to win one game against. You would be happy with one game. So really, in a sense, that's almost meaning like you thinking they're going to get swept by LA.
Pretty much. I thought at the time that there was a very good chance the Dodgers would come into Wrigley Field and literally hand us our ass.
Yes.
Because we at that point we did not play that well in Cincinnati. I mean, we did win a game, but I've just not been impressed with the Reds so far this year, even though they're just beating the hell out of the Pirates tonight. I think it was 12-1 the last I checked.
14-1 was the final on that game. So, Pittsburgh staying down there in the bottom, Cincinnati.
And interestingly, beginning tomorrow night, the Cardinals and the Brewers hook up for a few. So, let them beat each other up on that as well. And let's say looking ahead here to the weekend, Cardinals, Brewers, that's a 3-game series. Friday, we've got – what do we have here? That must be all the way. We've got the Braves coming to Milwaukee, which that's good. Go Braves. Reds travel to Colorado. The Rockies are just horrendous right now as well. And then Cardinals travel out to San Diego. I think that's the game of the week next Sunday.
Yes.
So,
I think that'll be a fun one to watch, too. Both teams are, I know San Diego isn't off to a good start. Be good to see you, Darvish, pitch out there. I think he's got one of the games this weekend.
I think this would be between now and Sunday. This would be a great opportunity for the Cubs to pick up at least 2 games in the standings, because my hope is that I don't want either team to sweep, but I'd love to see the Cardinals and the Brewers, take at least one from the other. And
right.
Obviously, go Braves, go Padres this weekend. And, the Reds, where are they headed to? Like I said, the Rockies. And, playing at Coors Field, you never know what's going to happen there.
Right. And you'll see maybe a little bit of fluctuation there with that with the Cardinals and Brewers games. There's only 1.5 games that separate them. So the Brewers could easily move into first place. What I think will be interesting is to see if both of them, if they can, one of them's going to come out on top. Hopefully there isn't a sweep. 2-1. If they can go out and get swept by the other teams, oddly enough, that if the Cubs can pull a string together there in those 5 games, we could be coming back next week talking about the Cubs being in first or second place. It really just kind of depends on how things go on this little road trip.
To be honest, I mean, I never want either team to sweep, but I think if you're looking for the entire season, Cardinals are a better team than the Brewers.
Oh, yes.
I think by the end of the season, that's the team we're going to have to fight with to get into the playoffs or win the division. So, if the Brewers can knock them off more than the Cardinals win, I'd be happy with that, especially if, they can lose 2 or 3 the next week before we go to St. Louis. I'd like to see them knocked down a little bit because, they keep winning. They're just going to be a little bit more arrogant that, hey.
Right. Greg, are you packing your Holy Cow shirt for the trip?
Yes, I am. But
there you go.
For the day, I think I should be okay. And I've got my new one on tonight.
Oh, rocking the bus.
Rocking the bus.
Yes, that's our good friend Joe over at Obvious Shirts. Obvious Shirts, they also have, oddly enough, this shirt, Holy Cow, just like us. If you use our code HOLYCOW5, we will get you $5 off because everybody loves cheap t-shirts. Also got one coming for Lacey. And who else could be getting a shirt? You can. We're very, very close to reaching that goal for the Instagram. So we're going to do a little giveaway. Like, share our page, comment, tag some friends in it. Let's get that.
Absolutely.
Yes, let's get that up, and we will be happy. And we will send one of you lucky people a nice Holy Cow shirt. Lacey, are you coming back next week?
Yes.
Okay. I was making sure we hadn't scared you off.
No.
I think we got to keep Lacey out of that Jeep if she knows there's 6 packs of beer and leave.
Listen.
And thank you guys for watching this past episode. So the first 5 episodes, we've been able to have 10,500 people find us on Facebook and watch us.
That's amazing. That is just absolutely amazing. With all the other options people have, I think that's wonderful.
I told you, Greg, people like you more than Scott Van Pelt.
I think people tune in for that cat.
Well, yes. When I had to do Zoom conferences for e-learning last spring, he was a regular every day. And I have 2. I have a black cat as well. Never, ever have to worry about her jumping on the table or on this guy. He loves publicity. I mean, I took a picture of the 2 of us. He was staring right into the camera for a Zoom conference last year, and they just named him my assistant. And I said, well, actually, I think it's the other way around. But he's sitting at my desk. I'm sitting at my table, and he's sitting on my desk right on top of my mouse pad. So I'll have to run the lint brush on my mouse pad before I use my computer a little bit later.
Greg's cat's going to get an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
If I could weave something out of the fur I sweep up a week from him, I could make my own blanket or sweater or something. He's just something else.
You want to have a daughter with hair down to her butt at 3 years old. I could make wigs for days. I mean, that poor girl. She may make a come on the show. She may make an appearance. I'm sure.
God gave me boys for a reason. I can't braid my own hair. The only reason I even have this flippy-do here is because I have a tool that does it for me.
Yeah. Boys were much easier to teach in 4th grade than girls always were. I love the girls I taught, but there's a special kind of drama when it comes to 10 and 11-year-old girls.
Hey, though, on a weird note to end the show, school janitors claim that they would rather clean boys' bathrooms than girls.
No way. I don't believe that. No.
Yes.
I find that hard. At least the boys I
have boys and I clean these toilets constantly. Constantly.
Boys have no sense of aim. But I taught with adult men that had no sense of aim. I mean, we got to the point where we threw Cheerios into the bowl for one guy because I said, you got to have something to aim for there. I said, my God, I said, and at least raise the damn seat. I said, who pees with the seat down? I said, if you're going to do that, take a seat. Well, that's what I said. If you're a guy, raise the seat. I said, if you can't miss the seat, then sit and take a squat because that was just ridiculous.
Oh, the things we learned on Holy Cow. Guys, we're out of time. Thank you for watching. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for Monkey Knife Fight, Obvious T-shirts, for believing in us for some reason sometimes. Greg, stay safe on that trip.
Absolutely. I'm not staying in downtown Cleveland, and I'm not staying in downtown Detroit. So
that means Greg gets to keep his wallet.
Keep his Jeep as well.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I'll be on TV. Maybe I'll be lucky and get a foul ball or something.
Hey, in that Holy Cow shirt, you better be rocking it every day.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys. Remember, follow us, Holy Cow Show, Instagram and Facebook, everywhere. Also, go follow our friend Lacey. She's got her own little spot up now, Okie Sports Junkie. We got Foul Ball 7359 and Lebanese Lemmy. If you want to keep up with us personally and check out what's going on, it's a lot of fun. Guys, until next week, let's get some more wins.
Let's have a nice streak this week that I can come back next Monday and say, wow, what a great week it was to be a Cup fan in Cleveland and Detroit.
If not, Greg's banned for the rest of the season to going to away Cup games.
Be put on suspension for an indefinite amount of time.
Yes, until we can get this ship turned around. But until then, guys, drink more Old Style and also go Cubs go.